guy that you know a lot about. I heard you tell the Matthew Stafford story again on NFL Live, which is real. It's awesome. He said, you can't make this throw, and he decided to do that. He said that to you while watching film. Kind of alpha-ed you in there, but that is a good trash talk. I think that indicates what type of person Matthew Stafford is and his competitive level, and I love him. I'm a big fan of him. Jared Goff going back to L.A., Matthew Stafford playing against the Lions. Aaron Donald said he texted Jared Goff, and he knows what it is. I'm coming after him. How do you think this thing goes? You think Matthew Stafford has his biggest game yet as a Ram somehow? I don't want to say dancing on the Lions' graves, but this is definitely means something to Matthew Stafford, right? This game means more? It has to.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you look. I mean, this should come as no surprise. Matthew's got an ego. So does his head coach, Sean McVay. Those guys will try to make sure that this is a one-sided affair for sure. Not in a disrespectful way, but they will make sure that the narrative is "we told you so" coming out of that football game. So yeah, I think Matthew can. I mean, if you watch the Lions on tape against the Bengals last week defensively, you're going, what are you guys trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? I think Matthew. I would be surprised if Matthew didn't get over 350. I could see him going over 400. I think Dan Campbell's comments about Jared are probably somewhat justified. But I also think he's playing with a very much so hand tied behind his back type of experience as a quarterback.
Aaron Donald texted Jared Goff and said, "Get ready, I'm gonna fucking break you in half." It's awesome. That's a big game this weekend, man. The Lions never really involved in big games unless it's on Thanksgiving. Okay, that is not something that happened. Thanksgiving, they're playing. This is a massive game because the amount of storylines in here. Just talked to Orshlovsky last night. It was great to have Orshlovsky.
It's been a while. It's been a while, right?
Yeah, I didn't want... he had to ask for permission to come on the show, and I don't want to put a friend in a position where they would have to ask for something because that makes me lose respect for the person. You know what I mean?
If they have to ask to come on, you're saying?
Yeah. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to
It's a weird thing. ESPN is weird about their guy. I know.
Not anymore. Hey, not anymore.
Yeah, now they're good. They used to be exclusive. Like, hey, they don't want you jumping on their stuff. Now they're cool, right?
Which, by the way, I understood. I understand that. That's your network. You do what you got to do. But I didn't like the whole process of me texting a friend of mine and be like, hold on one second, I gotta go ask my dad or whatever. And I'm like, all right, I am not putting you in that situation.
Who's their dad at ESPN?
I guess they had different, I don't know. It was interesting to hear from. I guess there was a couple and they were always yes. I think they were always told yes. After the immediate ban that happened, they were always told yes. But I didn't like the thought of some higher power thinking that they control. And I didn't like my friends who were adults, accomplished, who have been very successful, being put in a position where they have to be like, is there any way I could go talk to my friend of 10 years? I didn't want that. So now that has changed. I'm very thankful for that. Great to have Orlovsky back in. Stooge Orlovsky back in. He's got 1,000 Stooges tweeted to him already.
Oh, yeah.
He talked about he's sick of our people tweeting him Stooge after he says everything. We're like, well,
that's smart. That's smart. They'll quit now, won't they?
Yeah. It turns out it has had an opposite effect. I do believe it has had an opposite effect. But he talked about knowing McVay and Matthew Stafford, how they're going to want to hang for Hunch on Detroit because they made a massively aggressive trade this past offseason. Get Jared Goff, a guy we've already paid out of here. We'll even give you more picks. Give us Matthew Stafford. Let's go ahead and do this. Everybody's going to want to prove that they were right this weekend, and I think the Lions are potentially going to be on the wrong end of a little bit of a spite prove-it game by Stafford and McVay. That thing could get ugly, especially with the defense. Jalen, Aaron, they all know, hey, McVay's our guy. He made a big decision to do this. I assume they love Matthew Stafford. There's been some reactions from Jalen this season where it looked like Matthew Stafford's we have a fucking guy here. Everybody's going to want to prove something, and I just feel bad for Jared Goff going back to the golf course in L.A. and potentially getting run out of town yet again.
Well, the tough thing for Jared Goff, and I don't want to see it going off their last press conference that MCDC had, it's possible Jared Goff gets pulled in the second half if he's playing bad, right? I would hope it doesn't happen.
But no. Jeez. In front of the golf course?
I don't want it to happen. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it should. The timing is very interesting coming off of last week's presser.
Get Drew Blah in there.
Could you imagine David Blah going in relief of Jared Goff and his trip back to L.A.?
Yeah.
and lighten it up and getting the Lions their first win.
Oh,
Jesus.
no. We were
Can't
talking
do
about
it.
that last night with Case Keenum. Like, hey, it's going to get loud. If Case Keenum has a big night. Now, he couldn't hit over 225 yards, obviously, because he was handing off to a guy that couldn't be fucking tackled.
Right.
And that was the fastest game of all time. Same game parlay, got our asses beat. But if Case Keenum went in there, we knew it was going to get loud. We knew it was going to get loud because people would say, hey, if Case Keenum can do this with this team, not that Case Keenum's the answer, but maybe, Baker's not the answer. And we're not saying that's our opinions. We're just telling you, hey, this is reality. This is what's going to happen. If Goff gets benched in this game going back to L.A., I do not want to be a part. Now,
It can't. That's not going to happen. That can't
you
happen.
just put it in the universe. You just put
I
it
know.
in
I
the
shouldn't
universe.
have. I'm sorry about that. I should have done it. Jared, MCDC, the whole Lions, the family of Jared Goff. I should not have done that. It feels like this is the simulation theory. The fact that MCDC has this presser last week and says he needs to step up. He has the long pause, and now he's playing his old team. Like, that's what worries me.
A lot of pressure on old Jared Goff. I'm sure he feels it. They could potentially go completely defeated, be the only franchise in the history of the NFL to go 0-17. They are well on their way to potentially do that. I feel like earlier in the year we had a lot more hope that the Lions were maybe worth a
We
fuck.
did.
Now it's like, oh no, same old Lions.
Yeah, same old Lions. And just think about how massive that trade was. Like, the Rams came out of nowhere, and it's completely changed the entire landscape of the NFL.
Oh, but remember, why are they giving away picks? And AJ, you and I have been on this side of the fence for a long time.
Yes.
Fuck the future picks, okay? And you can get those back. You can find those later if you need it. Now, allegedly, Orlovsky was pointing out something that was very fascinating. 1 year out of 5 in the Niners, Lynch and Shanahan have had a winning season. So is that going to get hot up there if they continue to lose this year? Like, they go to 2-4 this week because they've already had a bye, and that thing continues to spiral somehow. Is it going to get hot for Lynch and Shanahan, even though they traded away 3 future picks? And I think that is potentially the case, especially if you have the mindset of us. Fuck those picks. If you can get a guaranteed player now, and that's why I think the difference is between trading up in the draft to get a question mark versus trading picks to get a vet, a proven vet, which we both, as guys who have been around, like, I would give up every future 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th rounder for now until eternity if you can give me a veteran that I think is going to win us games this year. And that is what the Rams did. The Rams said, fuck it. We'll do everything. Just get us a guy that we think can take us over the hump. They might do that, AJ. That legitimately might happen when in the moment, all anybody was saying is, this is a waste of draft capital on Matthew Stafford and everything like that. It's like they're a completely different team. They're a completely different team. Now, how do people say that early? You know what I mean?
It has a completely different feel. Everything about it, top to bottom of the team, is different now. And yeah, give away picks, whatever. But also, a big thing they did was they got out from under that Jared Goff contract pretty much too. Like, they gave him a ton of money, and I'm sure they're still on the hook for how much this year and next. I don't know how that all works out, but what was it, a year and a half after they signed him to a big old deal, they're shopping around trying to get him out of there?
Not even that. And think about it, less than a year and a half after they signed him to a big old deal, they benched him in a playoff game.
Yeah.
So, I almost forget about it. Like, that's when that was happening. I remember thinking, like, man, they're in an impossible situation. How are they going to get out from under this?
And then they go down to Mexico and they say, fuck it, we'll give them a bunch of picks. We'll get us out of here. That is literally what Sean McVay did, is like, I cannot take this contract against our salary cap anymore. I cannot take the fact that I benched this guy in the playoffs because I didn't think he was ready or the right guy. I think who'd they put in there? The guy that ended up in the neck.
Wolf, yeah, hungry like the wolf.
The Wolf went in there over Jared Goff. They're paying Goff $100 million. It's like, and that wasn't that big of a conversation because I think they were building up the injury that Goff had. Biggest game of the year. Can't have a quarterback that has a banged up, bruised thumb or whatever. Then at the end of the game, you had to go in, took the snaps cleanly. Handed?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Handed the ball off?
Yeah.
As opposed to what?
Well, that's what I didn't know. I didn't know what hand.
Hot the ball off?
Held the ball off. Yeah, I didn't know. Handed the ball off?
Mm-hmm.